But 20 years in the Legion will make a boy man. 20 years in the Legion and they will give you land. 20 years in the Legion, you'll always have a home. 20 years in the legions of Rome.
Good evening, Meridians, and the rest of the known world who may happen to be watching or not. Welcome to How Shit Works, the show where we look behind the curtains of how things work in Meridians, mainly, and where my dog randomly barks in the background. I'm one of your hosts, Graf Ulrich. I'm a knight, a pelican, and a royal peer. And as always, I have opinions. I'm joined by Sir Erik, the Knight of Kittens, and his cat.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sir Erik Martell. I'm a knight, and I'm a landed baron, and I have opinions and a cat. Tonight, we're beginning our fourth series of shows, and they're going to be centered around Meridian non-peerage orders. On our first show, we're going to explore the rare and mysterious Order of the Chalice. Well, mysterious to those of us who aren't members of the order. Tonight's guests are three members of this order. Duke Boru Aylwin, who you will remember is still left-handed, Countess Jane Falada of Inglewood, and Duke John the Bear Killer, called, among many things, the Bastard. Would you please introduce yourselves?
I'm Falada. I'm a pelican and a royal peer, and I have opinions, and I have a bear killer.
Okay. Hi, I'm John the Bear Killer, called the Bastard. I'm a royal peer. I'm a pelican. I'm a knight, and I have graciously been accepted as the giant pet of my lovely wife, Falada.
I'm Boru. I'm a knight and a royal peer. I've been in the SCA since about 1981, and I live in near the Atlanta area.
Well, welcome to the show, everyone. I'm almost giddy with excitement for this show. Just looking forward to it. So for everyone who tuned in really for just the drinking aspect of the show, tonight's words for the drinking game are humility, given to us by His Grace Boru, dream, given to us by Her Excellency Jane Falada, and by Duke John the Bear Killer himself, we give us as one word, pompous ass. So we're looking forward to that. Please understand that the drinking game is opt-in. You don't have to participate if you don't want to. If you want to, please feel free to join us and have fun. And if you're drinking, you don't have to drink alcohol. All right. We'd like to thank Between Two Peers for allowing us to be a licensed franchisee of the drinking game. For Erik, please, specifically for Erik, I mean for everyone too, but mainly for Erik, please remember that the words don't count. They're part of the question. So if you weave the words into the question, I'm not drinking if you say dream 17 times. Because my co-host is also a bit of a bastard. Finally, to the members of the audience, remember the last portion of this show is driven by audience questions. So get those into the comments and give them to us. We'll pull them into the live stream and answer them at the end of the show. The one thing that I'm going to say on that, though, is the questions have to be oriented on the Chalice. They can be stories about, asking for specific things about the Chalice or members of the Chalice. But we're not here to answer board questions. We're not here to answer questions about how things are going to run in the SCA right now. This is about the Chalice and the members that we have here with us, and the stories that they can tell us about the members that exist now or have existed in the past.
So, for those of you who just witnessed Ulrich bullying me, remember, it's president at SCA.org. First up, we're going to do one of my favorite things ever and read from the boilerplate of Kingdom Law about what it says about the Order of the Chalice. There will exist within the Kingdom of Meridians an order called the Order of the Chalice. The companions are selected by virtue of their valor, grace, and service to the kingdom. Election into the order must be by unanimous vote of the companions of the order. Any companion failing to strive for the order's high standards may be asked by any one companion of the order, or required by the majority of the companions, to remove him or herself from the order. All companions are equal with no recognized principle. As this is an order of humility, this award carries no title or precedent. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, and I'm really glad that we did, what exactly is the Order of the Chalice, and what does it mean?
Well,
Well, I can tell you from when it started. I can tell you how that came about, but the actual mechanical cogs of the working of the chalice will need to be done by His Grace Boru. Was created by Orlando. The idea that he presented at the time, and was that the concept was, if you become a peer and you continue to keep going, keep pushing, keep striving, continue to not let anything slow you down, so that from when you become a peer to after a long time of service, you are still doing the best you can and still continuing to produce. That was what he and his queen wanted to recognize. That was the original wording when it was presented to everybody. But Falada was there at the first court too.
I was. It was actually introduced as the Knights of the Chalice at that first court. So, and all
that is true.
It is true. The first 4 people were knights. The next 2 were knights. Now, Phelan was a double and John was a double, but that is how it was introduced.
Surprise!
Well, it makes sense. It's based on the story of the Grail. So that's where he got his inspiration.
All right. Is there a story that goes with that part?
I'm sorry?
Is there a story that goes with that part that's based on the Grail?
Well, it was. I'm trying to remember exactly, because Orlando is a great storyteller and a great speaker, but it was based on a story about how a knight had been searching forever for the Grail and stopped at a well to get a drink, and a child, I think, gave him a cup, and it turned out to be the Grail. It's kind of like the thing you search for is right there in front of you all the time.
You just have to keep looking.
Just have to keep looking, or be aware.
Cool. So, actually, you dovetail in the next question was, how did the order get started? But we'll throw this one to Boru, and please, all of you can answer, because you'll have to tell us sort of how it was when it started, and how has it evolved since the beginning.
Well, you just heard a good bit about how it started, and back in its early days, to those of us that were still squires and not even squires, it was just a rumored order that might or might not exist. In the darkness of the corners of Meridies, that these most inspirational leaders had it. The story that made its way through to us was that they sort of formed an organization among themselves to encourage each other to continue to strive to be better and maintain themselves as leaders and examples, and to help each other back up when they failed at that, and to seek out others who might meet that standard that I think each of us never thinks that we meet. So you do yourself a disservice if you ever ask a member how they got into the Chalice or why are they a member of the Chalice. But it does give them a platform to talk about all the other members that they hope to be as good as one day. Because when we're considering members and when we look around at the members around us, it's the people that we point to when others ask us for an example of how somebody in the SCA should be as a leader, their demeanor, their level of activity, and we just hope we live up to it.
Well,
Did I cover your question in there somewhere?
No, yeah, you're fine. It is a humility order, so it makes it difficult to talk about yourselves a little bit. So, sorry, realize I got that in there.
I avoided using the word, but everybody drink.
There's no fun in that, Your Grace.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It has always been my dream to be on this show.
John, you were inspirational in how easily achieved your dreams are.
Oh,
Is that why you're referred to as the bastard and not the pompous bastard?
No, that's
quite.
not quite.
No.
Nice try, Ricky.
Yes.
I
One
wasn't
word.
trying. Wasn't trying.
Yeah.
You'll know when I'm trying. I promise.
I'm going to spend this whole show laughing at Falada's faces that she's giving John.
That's
Diet Coke.
So, our question that is on our script is who are the members of the order? But do you know all of them? Can you name all of them?
Yes.
Most of them.
I sort of feel like you're being set up there. So, sort of as a secondary question, I'm going to ask you, who are the members of your order who you hold as the greatest exemplars even among your order?
Richard and Elowen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, every member has some facet that you can hold up as, this is the best example of this facet. And
We like to give you impossible questions to answer.
that's okay. We've done this long enough. We just won't answer if it's impossible.
I respect that.
Oh, sorry, my dog's trying to kill me. Oh, I blame the treats that Erik sent him.
I was about to ask if that was what did it. I mean,
I
so.
know what he was going through. Yep.
Oh, so what did you look for in prospective members of the order, the order's beginning, and what do you look for now? Oh, I'm going to mute.
Okay.
Okay. From the beginning, it was all the ones who got done first, regardless of what anybody may say, we were not ready for what it was. There was a lot of, and you got a lot of pompous asses in that first group. But we were all surprised and really shocked. We weren't given a great deal of information by the Crown prior. So from that point on, it was trying not to get people in that seemed to fit the Crown's idea of what it was. After a few, as Falada, as Her Excellency mentioned, at some point we reached a moment of saying there were a lot of people who fit what the Chalice was, what it meant for terms of service and continued work. And we moved off the a little off the original concept to let the group expand in a very good direction, which was the introduction of women into the group. And there was a lot of discussion of when that should have happened earlier or whatever, but it was always the same thing. You look for people that you've admired, who seem to have some quality that you can respect and that you can rely and depend on. That was, somebody who was better than me, which is a lot of people, but most of my decisions were based on the way other people looked at individuals. If they were held in high esteem by a great many people, then I would be for that, because that means more than I can say is how people in the SCA look at us, not as we look at each other. That's, always been a thing for me.
And I can't say that the job has gotten easier selecting members, but I am thankful that we have more measuring sticks to go by than they did in the early years, because you can look around you at peers that, as I mentioned before, you might point to as an example, but in your mind, you can compare whether they would fit up on the pedestal that you put your fellow members on. I think also, fortunately, it's sort of a self-regulating standard, because everybody has to be voted in unanimously. So you'll worry about, do I know every aspect of this person I'm considering? But you are also comforted by those around you will have a different view of them.
Well, I think at some point, as in any kind of order where everybody is consulted, at some point you have to trust your fellows to know, especially if they bring somebody up, you need to trust them to know what they're talking about, trust their attributes, and realize that if I respect this person and this person sees something to respect in that person, then I need to open my eyes a little more and be a little more aware.
Thank you. We know that the peerage orders and the orders of high merit and meridies have a certain number of meetings every reign that they are required to have. Does the Order of the Chalice have a minimum number of required meetings, or do you just simply meet when you feel you need to meet?
We meet when we feel we need to meet. We don't have a required meeting. But I think that the activity level of everybody involved helps keep us aware of when we might have somebody we need to talk about.
So, since you don't have a set requirement of meetings, does the Crown have any input into who is selected, who is recognized?
We always welcome the input of the Crown, yes.
Right.
And if we do select somebody that we would like to induct, we also make sure that it's okay with the Crown to, for that to be done in their court and for them to welcome them into the order.
Okay.
So if you can tell us how someone becomes a member of this order specifically, and how your meetings work if this isn't a matter of some secrecy?
It's not a particularly formal procedure. We all try to stay aware of who the order might need to pay attention to. And if we have somebody, we bring it to the attention of the rest of the members. And if enough of them are in informal agreement, it will at the next meeting, we'll bring it up to a vote. I hope that was vague enough.
No,
So actually, that was.
certainly.
I'm very envious of your procedures.
Well,
And the Chalice lets Falada and I in on their deliberations because we live outside of the kingdom as the expatriates of the order. They still include us in what goes on. We, of course, restrain some of our activity because of our lack of knowledge, but they are very open amongst themselves on what they discuss and how they do that. And that has been very impressive to see.
I'm glad. You're both Meridian from OG, right? So
Old stock. We're all old.
old stock, maybe.
You're a citizen, are you not?
Oh, yes. And I am a citizen of Meridia's also. Thank you very much.
you're not.
You're
Jen?
very welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry. So the regalia of the order is a really nifty belt. Can you describe the belt and the meaning behind it, and maybe show one if one of you have one?
Watch it. John's taking off his.
Oh, John, you pompous ass.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know. Some of us would think it's a dream.
It's a dream.
I might have to drink it that whether it was a word or not.
Oh,
So this is an elder belt. I'll let Boru talk about the cloaks. Both Falada and I have given our cloaks to new members of the Chalice. But we do have the belts. The Boru, and you can verify the one of the elder belts is Opera Veritas. Can't read upside down.
Yeah.
Vertos. Fides. Fidelity. That's the original. Did we still keep that same format, Boru?
Yes, a lot of the newer belts, including mine, don't have the. They have the white with the border and the chain, but don't have the words on them.
Yes.
But the order also has an official cloak that has a gorgeous embroidered patch on it that has those words around it.
awesome.
The original cloaks were made by Countess Gilran, just in case you'd like to know that. I'm very
that's
honored.
awesome.
Richard of Rayfin gave me his belt and his cape. So,
And I think Mistress Margala made all of the embroidered patches.
but that's probably true. I'm sure that is true, actually.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure she got credit.
Of course.
On a related note, that strikes me as things that we should probably have somewhere, knowledge we should have somewhere in an official format, so that we don't lose it. So, I guess I'll get on that. Anyway, so one of the most well-known tourneys at Meridian Grand Tourney is the Order of the Chalice Tourney. For those who are not aware of this, and since we're speaking to Meridians, how dare you not know? This tourney raises money that is donated to a domestic violence shelter in the name of the winner. How did that come about?
I was not a Chalice at the time. Do you know John and Falada?
That was after us.
That was after us. So we have a gap.
Well, this is going to be awkward because I actually know the answer.
Oh,
then
wait,
you-
that's not awkward at all.
No.
I'm guessing it has to do with Elwyn, but
It actually had, I'm sure Elwyn had something to do with it. It mainly has to do with Richard. So when Duke Caspar first came up with the idea, and the idea of MGT, and pitched it, one of us that got in on the second level of figuring it out, or possibly the third, someone I want to say it was either Connell or Seth went to Richard and said, "Hey, would the Chalice be consider hosting one of the tournaments, one of the qualifying tournaments?" And Richard, thought for, I don't know, it seemed like all of about 30 seconds, but he said, "Yeah, we'd love to do that, and we're going to do it as a fundraiser for a women's shelter." And we're like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And he goes, "And the entry fee is going to be $20." And several of us, myself included, were like, that seems a bit stiff. That seems a bit much for something for a brand new thing. And maybe consider bringing it down to maybe $10. And he's like, "No." And I was like, well, maybe we could do it so that he's like, "No, $20, it'll be fine."
That sounds like him.
And I've never been happier to be wrong about anything in my life. It was a huge, huge, huge success. And I think that first year we raised about $2,000 for the women's shelter. And when it got to the finals, it was Prince Camric of Glenavon versus Sir Jan Germunsen. And before the bout started, they agreed to split it and send it to women's shelters in both of their areas.
Oh,
Excellent.
But so there's an awkward portion where I answer your question.
I have a good story about Camric and my Chalice belt when you get a chance.
Oh, you have a chance right now. There you go.
Yeah, it involves Boru, His Grace. So through our kingdom, there was a movement among some of the chivalry to dissuade people from wearing ring belts. Instead of possibly doing it in an instructional, very gentle way, there was the concept they would go up to some individuals, they would get agreement, and then cut the ring belt off and then take the belt and then put a buckle on it. So philosophically, I have issues with the manner of doing that. And Camric is a very good knight. But in this, we disagreed. So at an event that His Grace Boru was at in Glenavon, Camric followed me around with his little leather shears and knife and his little large ring full of ring belt, the metal round things that he had cut off. It followed me and shook his little ring, and Boru leered at my Chalice belt. And Boru was very polite and very nice. However, during the feast, Boru did come up to our table, and his approximate words were, "If he's effing with you, I'll be glad to kick his ass, because he ain't touching it." And
being that I was in Glenavon at the time, I was not sober. And I probably said, "If he touches your belt, I will fucking kill him."
but, yeah. No, but the good news is that Camric and I came to an agreement of a better way to encourage people, and which followed a large amount of, thanks to His Grace John the Tall, who was able actually to research and get evidence of an actual ring belt, which killed the whole thing. But I just thought it was very indicative of the valor and honor and caring heart of Boru, because I would have paid money to see him and Camric go at it, because that would be pretty cool. Just because I like them both. Just, throw a bucket of water on them and move on. That'd have been great, though.
How much of that?
Right.
I've had a lot of this so far.
This night is just going to keep getting better. All right. So in addition to the tourney, the Chalice also does a fundraiser lunch at the Grand Tournament for the same charity. You guys have any idea the total amount that your orders raised for women's shelters over the years?
Only because you know the
Actually, I knew this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies, Your Excellency.
No, that's okay. Please.
I'm informed that it's over $41,000.
That is terribly impressive.
Very.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Jessica also points out that Griff is the one who did that math. That is absolutely correct. Sir Griffin Oswald did that math for us and let us know.
Who is our informal secretary?
In an order that has no secretary, right?
Right. In an order full of people you can't keep from doing something, who's the one that gets to do something?
Actually, of course, it's Griff. Of course. So I swore I wasn't going to ask any controversial questions, and I'm not. Instead, I want to take a moment to say something to your order in total as we get to this question. When I joined the SCA, I was an ill-tempered, mean little heathen.
Using
And
a lot
I
of
did-
sense there. It's a
and I didn't have a lot of time for a lot of structure, or I didn't care about a lot of things. But one of the few things that impressed me in the SCA was the existence of the Order of the Chalice. And that's only grown to me over the years. You are all to be commended for your service and for your demeanor and the things you've done for multiple kingdoms. Now we'll follow into the question, what does it mean to you personally to be a member of the Order of the Chalice?
What?
Maybe there's a couple of hard questions.
That's a hard question.
That's a hard question. For me, I don't want to be the one to screw up. There's so many really good people, and I take this attitude to a lot of things in the SCA. You have to look at everybody else as worthy of respect and honor as you would anybody in the society normally. But I have never, which was a great thing for me at the time, was you don't want to be the person to be asked to leave.
That's a good way to put it. Sometimes I feel like a poser.
we all do.
It's like, how does this happen?
I think for me, it's given me a standard that I will never believe I have met, but I will never stop striving to meet. I look at those brothers and sisters around me and am so impressed with them that I will never not want to, try to meet the high esteem I hold for them. And so, yeah, I will echo that we all feel, like posers. Like I feel like I don't belong, but I'm not going to stop trying to belong.
I think that's generally a good way of just facing life. Is trying to be better every day than you were the day before.
Well,
so
this is so
one
much easier though, because I actually know the people that I'm trying to be as good as. In life, it's much more nebulous.
Is that actually easier though?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
that's a high bar.
To me personally, it is a high
Right.
bar. But to me personally, in life, things being nebulous, it means my standards can waver up and down, and my enthusiasm can waver up and down, but I will never be as awesome a person as Connell is. But I know Connell, and so that's a hard, milestone
Right.
that will not go away.
Okay, I get that. That's
As bystanders from our kingdom, I know Fowler and I look at everybody that's been put in since Glidhaven became a principality. We kind of played more there. And everybody that's in, we hold in the exact same level of esteem and respect, which says a lot. We are very fortunate to be associated with it.
That's a great segue into my next question, actually. So this one's specifically for John and Falada. So you're in Glenavon. Do you see the Chalice as a uniquely Meridian order, or do you think the Order of the Chalice will branch into other kingdoms, kind of like franchises?
No, we thought about it, and when Glenavon went to Kingdom, there was discussion about a branch, but it just wouldn't. It just never worked out. Because it is uniquely a Meridian thing. Every kingdom has their unique orders, that they're special orders, like the Lions of Anstiora, and we have the Jeweled Horn, and they're all special and they're all high esteem. But the Order of the Chalice is different. I'm not even sure exactly how to describe it, but I think it's because of the lack of precedence and the lack of the equality amongst the members. Everybody is on the same level, and that's not really something you see in the orders, the high esteem orders in other kingdoms. Does that make sense?
I've never seen a fight in a Chalice meeting.
Oh, that's true.
Ever. I've never seen a philosophical issue that went beyond general discussion. I've never seen, I hate to use the term, power plays. I've never seen anything but
Trade-offs.
Trade-off perhaps, but always total honesty. The trade-offs are in opinions, but not in people.
Yeah, I've never seen it in people.
It's the most unique thing there's I probably have 7 or 8 things I hold in my heart after being away from Meridies for a long time. But part of the roots and part of the trunk that is Meridies is the fact that it can create things like the Chalice and have them work. No egos, just you let something like this go and it builds. And now, as Boru is nobly stated and is being continued, 34 years or so after the start, $41,000, which will continue to grow for women's shelters. That's amazing for an order that has been around that long. And it's not, as Falada said, it's got to come from the basic of the kingdom. And you can't transplant that. That belongs to Meridies. And as long as we're here, we'll always be thankfully tied to that. So no, I don't think it. Looked at Glenavon, and she said, it's not.
It doesn't transfer.
It doesn't transfer. It doesn't translate as well. And that's no dig on Glenavon.
Right.
I think it's much more like a multi-generational Italian family restaurant than it is a Domino's pizza. If you have a franchise somewhere, it's not going to be anything but an imitation of what they think the Meridian Chalice is, and instead they need to be their own order of their own kingdom with their, that stands on its own.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, other kingdoms have orders that can be just as strong, just as well respected, but they won't be the same.
That makes perfect sense. Just moving on to what the future holds for the Order of the Chalice. When we get back to normal, whatever normal turns out to be, what do you see on the horizon for the Order? And then what do you see further out as the future of the Order? I should point out that saying, hopefully we will continue to uphold the standards and conditions we always have, it's a perfectly reasonable answer.
Oh, I don't hope that. We will uphold the standards that we currently have. Other than that, I don't know what the future of the order is, other than encouraging each other.
Yes.
And trying to let that spread out, to encouraging the kingdom and the SCA in general. Because I run across people from other kingdoms that if they lived here, they would be in the Chalice.
Yeah.
Not telling them to move here because we're not going to vote them in just because they move here. But,
Takes more in the post office box.
that's right.
He looks really
Oh, I love that. I love that
As
answer.
I take a step closer to being the first one voted out.
Jeez.
So speaking of the first one voted out, so we're into some questions that were sent in to us from the Populace before the show started. So your order has an actual process for removing members that mess up. Has that ever been used?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Mm-mm.
And that's also amazing.
It on the surface, it is amazing, but it relates a lot to what John and Falada were discussing about how the meetings in general go, because everybody in there, as big as egos in there are, they respect everybody else in there, so egos are kind of set aside. And if somebody was even approaching that being an issue, they would listen to somebody else in the room well before it got to the point of asking them to leave.
Yeah. That's all.
Don't want to be the first. Nobody wants to be the first.
Well, you don't. How could you show any ego in that type of grouping? Oh my gosh! Especially when you think you're opposing.
Oh, I've tried. It's tough.
No, I don't believe that.
But your humility stopped you?
My humility, yes.
Stopped you from being a pompous ass.
You were never a pompous ass.
I am not going to say that. But
Well,
maybe not in that meeting.
I can't say that either, so I understand.
So every episode, I sort of freewheel just a little bit. This will not be a controversial question, but it is going to be a little bit of freewheeling. As a member of perhaps our kingdom's most respected order in Meridia's, what advice would you give to someone not to put them on the path to the Chalice or to put them on any path, really? But what single piece of advice would you give them from your own experiences that you think could help them get the most out of the society?
Jesus. Ask a small question.
Yeah. And that question took a left turn because I was trying to stay together and answer for a completely different question. But I think the advice I would give to help somebody get the most they can out of the society is to share as much as possible what they love about the SCA with other people. I've gone down rabbit holes like this, talking about fighting, and I get so much more now out of sharing fighting knowledge with somebody and then seeing them use it or see that light come on in their eye when they understand it than I remember getting out of any of my own achievements. That until you really go out and share, you don't understand the joy you're going to get out of that. It's so there is no altruism. You get so much out of that I can't encourage it enough.
That's a great answer.
I might
All
take
that.
it to the side of that and say, just stay open to new experiences. There's when most people are introduced to the SCA, it's either the fighting or the garb, it's the show. But there are so many nuances to our organization that you can miss if you don't keep your eyes open. New things to try, new people to meet. I would say just stay open to new experiences.
Okay. I guess if you've been in the SA for a very long time, right? Or you're in the SA for a brief period of time and you don't like it, and it's not for you. Whether long or short or in the middle, it's always about the journey. It's always about what you're doing then. It's not about some goal that may take a year, 5 years. It's like really want to win crown. Winning crown is a great thing to do, but all of the fighting and all the activity you go to get to that point, that's the stuff you'll remember. In any activity, it's the goal. If the goal becomes a thing, then you will not be happy with the goal. Nobody had a goal of being in the Chalice. I know I had a goal when I first got in of being a knight, and it was handed to me perhaps too quickly. So I lost something. Always remember that what you're doing then is what is important. Enjoy what you're doing. If you don't like it, change it. Don't do it. Don't think so much that if you don't get this one thing that you are not a success, because it's always about the journey. And I know a great many people who will never be awarded a patent of arms in the society, but they're as useful or as good as many people who do have it. It's about the journey. It's about what you do. Don't ever forget that, or you will not be happy ultimately.
Thank you all. Super great answer.
And I love that answer because you will forget that, but it's always there to remember again. In fact, at the point I became, or was real close to being knighted, John was one of the people I held in highest esteem. And I was aggravated about, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing to get knighted? And then through the guidance of Richard Arafin and my Squire brothers, and some from just beating my head against the wall, I realized, hey, it's kind of cool that I'm not a knight, but if John Bearkiller picks 10 people to be on a team, I'm one of them. That's fucking awesome. And all of a sudden I was back to having fun again. And then 6 months later I was knighted because I had gotten over that huge ego stumbling block I had built for myself. And it was keeping me from having fun.
That's a good answer, because you can do that with any activity. Who do you want the 10 best people to help you run a kitchen? Who do you want the 10 best people to help you do troll or run an event, or God help us run an exchequer's office? It's like that for anything in the SCA. What's more important? How you get to the end of the race, and then you find out that the end of the race is not what you thought it was, or what you do. And Boru, I was exactly like that on the Pelican. I got to a point where I had a bad attitude, and then finally I just said, F them. That was probably literally what I said. It's like, I don't need that.
It was exactly what you said.
And I forgot about it. And I was, because I'd forgotten about it, I kind of threw myself into a lot of stuff. And then, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Anyone who says we are not a subjective award system is terribly wrong and naive. It is. Sometimes it works awesomely. Sometimes it's not as awesome. So why not, concentrate on what you can do? And yeah, Boru, you're my top 10 on just about anything there.
Wow.
And I think getting over that stumbling block in any path makes such a better peer out of that person, because we know peers that you can tell didn't get over that stumbling block, and they aren't as receptive to, interaction with people, learning. I just think it makes you a better peer if you can get over that stumbling block.
Well, sure, because
not.
We all know people who got to be a peer because they focused so hard, and then they got to be a peer, and then they're gone.
And then they were gone.
They just stop. The SCA is no longer fun, and that's a terrible tragedy for anybody. If you ain't enjoying it, find something you can enjoy. Please.
Amen. So you alluded to this earlier, at least in the beginning. Speaking of peerages, is a peerage required to be a member of the order? And if it's not, does it help?
It used to be.
In the beginning, it was a
In
requirement.
the beginning, it was.
It is not officially a requirement. And this is just off the cuff. This is not from having discussed it with my other members, but I think that we might not make somebody a member of the Chalice who is not a peer, because it would become a huge impediment to them receiving that accolade. Does that make sense?
It does.
A lot of sense.
I mean, and there could be a case out there that doesn't apply to. So no, they don't have to be a peer. But
In those instances, though, I would think that if they were at that level, they'd be looked at for peerage of some sort.
right.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
So this is a question that sort of gets asked of a lot of people in society at certain points in their SCA careers. But how do you fight burnout and continue to be an inspiration to your kingdoms? And this last question was asked specifically by Mistress Mittens, our current kingdom seneschal.
I think too many people treat burnout as some sort of like character flaw or something. Burnout is your psyche or your body or whatever telling you need a break, you need a rest. There's nothing wrong with taking a break. If
Not
you
at
don't,
all. In fact, you should.
yeah,
Because you're not doing yourself or those around you service when you get burned out, because of the sort of the attitude you kind of pick up, or the attitude I pick up when I get burned out.
I took a 4-year hiatus from like 2001 to 2002. And a lot of things go.
it's not 4 years.
What I was trying to say, in 2001 or 2002, I had a lot of stuff happen in my life. So from 2001 to 2002 to about 2006, I was basically out of the SCA. I just had other things to do. I had to go back to school, had to change jobs, had to do a lot of stuff, had to deal with a lot of stuff. Blown up my left bicep tendon, lost my mother, just a lot of stuff after doing a very high amount of active work. So the time that I stepped out allowed me to do my priorities. And now I know Fallon and I both, we take little mini vacations away from the SCA, and the SCA is not our total life. So we fight burnout by trying to reach outside into our regular lives, and that allows us to come back. It's if you have to fight something, then you need to probably think about the way you're doing it, really, and get your priorities straight.
That's solid. All right, so we're into the live feed questions of the show. And for the live feed questions, we also, again, go to Mr. Smittens. So how do people's perceptions of you individually and as a group change once you're inducted into the Order of the Chalice? Or do they?
Well, I know when I was inducted later on, I had a bunch of people ask me why I was wearing John's belt.
Oh.
That is never a good situation.
No. So take that as you will.
There's so many statements that I'm just going to leave on the ground right where they are.
I'm going to humbly suggest that no one out there who's watching ask Gwen why she's wearing my belt. Just go ahead. Don't do that. Save yourself some trouble.
Unless you want a lesson.
Hadn't occurred to me that anybody would ask Gwen why she was wearing your belt.
See, that's some of that famous humility right there.
Yes.
Humility.
Snark has nothing to do with humility.
Yeah.
Humility is a word.
Humility.
Hopefully the people that have a strong opinion of you already, most of them, hopefully their opinion doesn't change much, but I think all of a sudden it's like more eyes are on you. People that might have not had an opinion about you or had a nebulous opinion about you now are paying much more attention. Oh, well, you know, what the hell does that order actually mean? And this is what they decided is the newest example of that order. Let's pay closer attention to how they act. And so hopefully there's not a big shift in opinion about you, but I think that maybe a lot more people will form opinions about you once you're inducted.
Excellent. And if anyone ever wonders what that whole order is about, you can point them to this episode.
Yes.
There you go. So this is going to go back sort of to formation of the order, but His Excellency Graf asked, how did the kingdom and populace respond to the creation of the order?
Well, I'll give you the opinion of somebody who was there, who got in, and then you can ask Falada what the populace thought. I thought it was wonderful. Acclaim, great cloaks, wonderful looking belts. We got to, drink from a 2-foot tall silver chalice. It was just the adulation and the cheers were just wonder, just a wonder. Just, we really didn't know what the hell we were getting into, but we thought it was just wonderful.
Well, sitting out in the audience, people were enthralled by the idea, but it was kind of a, okay, now what are they going to do type of thing. It was looked at as, so are these super peers? Is that what we're looking at? There was some confusion, but I will tell you the ceremony was pretty impressive just from a showmanship standard.
Those cloaks are cool.
The cloaks. Oh, the cloaks.
Well, if Orlando put it together, I can't imagine the
I'm guessing it
showmanship
was
of anything less than awesome. What was that, Your Grace?
I said, I'm guessing it wasn't a short ceremony.
No. Orlando was the first sovereign of Meridies to get killed on the throne. And he came in on a palanquin with makeup and gray hair and had a sword fight. And if he was going to put together a ceremony, it was going to be impressive.
And it was.
I only wish there was video of it. That'd be awesome.
There's so many things I wish there were videos of, or pictures even.
There probably are some tintypes hanging around somewhere.
Sorry. All right. So the kingdoms, all the kingdom's orders have a niche that they fill in the kingdom. What service role does the order fill in the kingdom outside of recognizing individuals? And that's from Jan Makana.
I think you have a pretty good description of that for the last 15 years with the tournament.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you could get a better description of what role it takes other than it's not held together by any particular rules or by this or by that. The money is raised privately, given privately, and handled beautifully. So the other role would be look at the last 10, 15 members of the Chalice. Look at what they're doing. Look what they've done. I think it may take a little while to have gotten going outside of trying to get a handle on what we're trying to do. But if you want to know what role the Chalice fits, it fits the role of someone who has the ability to work possibly a little outside of the norm to do very good jobs. And the only constraints are morality and goodness and fairness. What else could you ask?
Not much. All right.
So, our next question is from Mistress Kirstiona, and she wanted to know, what are your favorite virtues to put on the belt? And she says she may have ulterior motives.
I think the two virtues that I think go hand in hand, are virtue.
You want me to read them real quick?
Yes, please.
Virtus, Fidels, Veritas, and Opera.
Veritas and Fidelis. The upholding of virtues, and the Fidelis, the brotherhood of the order. Because you're constantly striving to hold those virtues up, and the order is around you to help pick you up when you don't. The brotherhood of that order. And of course, brotherhood / sisterhood, but both, raising each other up and supporting each other when we fall.
I don't know. I think each of them comes into play at different times, depending on what the needs of the people are and the needs of the kingdom. And
I like fidelity. I like staying true to what the original concept was, and adding on to that. I think it's very important.
Awesome. So we know that the members bring up other potential members, but can the crown of the populace bring potential members to you as an order?
As I mentioned before, Master Sir Griffin is our unofficial secretary. If you have somebody you'd like us to consider, get in contact with him.
Oh gosh, was that 86 or 87?
So
Wait for the question.
Sorry. She warned us. You'll get distracted. Oh, good.
No, just go ahead.
you need me to get you? I got you. All right. So when was the order initially established? And that's from Pixie. Who broke it?
AS21, 1986. Thank you.
That was close.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time has passed between now and then. So to kind of bounce off one of the questions from earlier, which was, who are all the members? So the original members were Phelan and Capel Moore, Francois Duvant, John the Bear Killer, and John Ian Erik, or John the Mad Kelp. Meridius is really familiar with you, John, and with John the Mad Kelp, but a lot of the current members aren't really familiar with Phelan or Francois. Can you guys tell us a little bit about them?
Well, John can. Francois was his knight.
Mm-hmm.
Francois Duvant was my knight. He was the first prince of the Principality of Meridies, along with Anne, his princess. Lived in Louisiana, was the epitome of one of the small handful of people I know that have become members of the chivalry, who the member of the chivalry was, the order of the chivalry is created for that person. That sounds kind of weird, but Francois was a perfect knight. Good fighter, friggin' gorgeous. I was the worst squire ever. It was like Alain Delon in the movie Camelot. He looked like that, square jaw, dark hair, wavy. And then there was little troll me next to him. There's a lot of stories to go with that, but Francois was 4th or 5th crown of Meridies. He was the perfect person, along with Anne, to be the first royalty in Meridies. He was just a perfect knight. Got his pelican. That
was a ceremony.
It was quite a moving ceremony at Gulf Wars a little while ago. Passed away due to complications of diabetes, but was one of the best examples of why we have an order of chivalry. Phelan was a very good knight. He was had his own Cajun attitude toward things. He was also from Louisiana. He was just a wonderful administrator. He would go to an event and say, if all of you, none of you are fucking squires, get off of the fucking porch. And all the squires would get off the porch. He was a sly and evil fighter, and a very noble man. And
For Phelan, Phelan will stay close to my heart for something he did for me and my son and my husband. We took our son Daniel to his first event. He was about a little over a year old, and he got sick. And we had ridden in with some other people, and we didn't have a vehicle, and we couldn't find the people we had ridden in with. And I was panicking. And Phelan always had this gruff exterior. You thought he was just, but it's like he saw me there, and he, what's wrong? And I'm like, my baby's sick. And he just, without question, without a second thought, tossed us the keys to his truck and said, take him now. And it was just special. He was special.
He was a total individual, and a good man at heart. Good man.
Yeah, as one of the squires, he was telling to get off of the porch. He was a kind and giving man, and he hit it real well.
Sorry, it made me
You made my wife cry, Erik. Thank you.
That was me. I did that one.
I know, but I like blaming Erik, so that's okay.
You haven't really left Meridia's then. You love blaming me. Our next question comes from His Majesty Timothy. How does the order feel about providing counsel to the crown and or populace on particularly controversial or troubling issues?
As an order, we will not provide counsel, but I think all of us individually are more than happy to provide our personal views on whatever you might want to ask us about.
We have opinions.
We have opinions, and they are definitely diverse.
Yes, getting us to stop providing those opinions might be the problem, but
I love that you have opinions. So Pixie asked specifically for Falada, what's the puppy's name? Can she see it again?
Oh, honey.
Come on, honey. Come on.
Come on, honey. Well, now, of course,
Now she won't get close to us.
Sure.
she's a
That's
little.
the rule, right?
This is Honey.
Hi,
Not-
sweetie.
Honey was actually my sister's dog. My sister passed away a little over a year ago. And so Honey came to live with us, and she has taken over our hearts.
In our house.
Actually, she's John's little princess is what she is.
Yeah, I love it. Beautiful little puppy. All right, I think we're on our last populist question. You got this one, Erik?
Captain Adventure, also known as Baroness Genevieve, asked, my lovely daughter Meredith was curious if the order, what was the minimum age requirement?
I think that's directed specifically at John.
outside of their respective peerages, if we did, I would consider Meredith mine, but I love her dearly. But no, we don't have associates as Chalice.
Meredith is the most incredible person I've met in the SCA in the last 5 years. If I lived in Meridia's and could spend more time, which we plan to do, she could be any type of associate I ever had or knew in my entire life. She is just a great person. Her mom's not bad either.
True.
I agree on all counts. And as the only count here, I can do that.
Bump.
Bad jokes. That's what we're here for.
Oh, look at the
All
time.
right. Exactly. Funny you should mention that. We're out of time for questions, folks.
Yay.
Thanks for sending those, by the way.
So this is the point where we give shout outs. It can be to people who are doing things online, in the kingdom or outside of the kingdom, or people who are just doing things that you want to call attention to. And my shout out is going to be for the people who today just finished the roll of arms. And from what I understand, that means that there's a picture of your device and badges that's attached with your information in OP. People can look all that up simultaneously as they look up the awards you might have. And I know a lot of people put a lot of hard work into that. And so we should really be thankful to those people and give them all the credit that they deserve. Who's next?
Yay for the roll of arms. Oh, guest first. I suggest Philip's ballot.
What? Well, I think personally, I've been involved in a project with the Grand Chefs of Glen Aubin, which is a roll-off of the Grand Chefs of Meridies. And Dot and Rosamond have been walking us through doing videos, and they've been handling all the editing and just have been great to us. So I would give them a shout out for what they're doing.
My shout out goes to everybody who's putting content out there during the pandemic and helping people stay connected. And I'm amazed and awed. I don't see as many shows as I would like, simply because there are so many shows. But thank you, everybody.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to sneak in under that umbrella of everybody putting in content. But I'm a big fan of the SCA Coaches Corner. Anybody who has any interest in anything fighting, there's way more than you'll want to watch there. And the numerous projects that both Cowbar and Ninja running and are helping other people run, and this show, or this series of shows that the Hound and Stag are running with their awesome new logo.
Of course, I was muted. So thanks for the new logo there, Chief. We really appreciate it. I apparently owe everyone on the show a drink. That's not difficult for me, though. My shout out is going to take a bit of a different angle this time. There are two people who have been in the SCA for, actually, I'm not really sure how much in the SCA they actually are. They have been integral to the SCA for decades. And they are fantastic people, and they've worked tirelessly, and that's Renee and Teresa out in Milpitas doing the Lions work. And we desperately appreciate them and thank them for everything they've done and do for us constantly over and over. That's my big shout out. So here's where we have your last chance to cover anything that we didn't cover, or anything you wanted to say about the Chalice or any of its members. This is the last big chance before we go into the stuff for the next upcoming weeks.
I want to thank all the rest of the members who are, I consider, all more awesome than me.
Thanks from an expat.
Yes.
Thank you for keeping us included.
You're still members, still family, still friends.
You're all Meridians.
Absolutely.
You will not get that stink off of you.
And if it starts to come off of you, I can get consent. I will rub that stink right back on you, personally.
I do need to show Ray's cup.
No, you don't.
If you saw me on Facebook, you know I received a cup in the mail. Thank you. There's other
Were you
problems.
drinking out of that tonight?
Huh? No.
Were you
No.
drinking out of that?
I'm drinking out of my World's Best Boss cup
Show me the other side.
with the Bear Killer logo. Given to me by Jessica, the great DEI of the society, and Bridget, the great social media brain of the society. So, but I'm not drinking out of Ray's cup.
Yeah, no. We'd like to thank our guest tonight, Duke Boru, who is still left-handed, Countess Jane, and Duke John. Really, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. I know a lot of people are going to really appreciate this, and I have a suspicion this is probably going to be our most rewatched show. We'd also like to thank our support crew, Lady Jessica Voss, her ladyship Jessica Vosbury, who pretty much does everything and controls every aspect of human existence, whether or not you know it. And you should just probably go ahead and thank her when you have a good day. We'd also like to thank Mistress Adriana for the great scripts, Her Excellency Katerina for keeping us on time, and for God's sakes, you all know how hard that is. We also want to thank Lord Kikuchi for technical support. And finally, all of you guys who show up week after week, for whatever reason that drives you, we really appreciate you being here, because otherwise it's Ulrich and I talking to ourselves in the girlfriends in the imaginary box. Thank you all so much.
Not that we ever do that. So the next episode will be on Monday, March 29th, and it will cover the territorial baronages and the viceregals. So our guest for that show will be Baroness, Baroness. I'm not even going to try that. Stacy Gwynn.
Gwendolyn the Ayashane.
Yeah, that. Thank you, Eric. And Baroness Christine and Baron Lou from the Osprey.
Cool.
All shows 6 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah.
So if you're watching live, give us about 5 minutes for a break, and then feel free to join us on Zoom for the after show. Watch the live feed comments on Facebook for the link. We'll hang out and chat for about a half an hour after the show. Graf and Katerina will post it up for us all now.
All right. Finally, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit like and subscribe down here. And if you're watching on Facebook, give us a like and a follow up here so that we can get a little more traffic on the show. That's it, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Good night, everybody.
You. Bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
And if I die in battle, tomorrow I'll be home, though it's 70 days march to there from Rome. But a soul travels swiftly on the night wind, and if I die in battle, I'll be home again.